The Peacock Throne was a famous jeweled throne that was the seat of the Mughal emperors of India. It was commissioned in the early 17th century by Emperor Shah Jahan and was located in the Red Fort of Delhi. The original throne was subsequently captured and taken as a war trophy in 1739 by the Persian king Nadir Shah, and has been lost ever since. A replacement throne based on the original was commissioned afterwards and existed until the Indian Rebellion of 1857. History. Shah Jahan ruled in what is considered the golden age of the vast Mughal Empire, which covered almost all of the Indian subcontinent. It was ruled from the newly constructed capital of Shah Jahanabad and the fabled imperial citadel Red Fort, with its marble halls bedecked in silk, perfumed water fountains and canals running, surrounded by fragrant gardens, sumptuous feasts, religious festivals, extravagant receptions for state guests, with numerous artists and musicians, a large zenana and thousands of soldiers, courtiers and servants who ensured for a colorful and joyful life far away from everyday worries. The focus around which everything revolved was the emperor, where he gave audiences and received petitioners. The court and its ruler was a mirror image of paradise on earth, in the very center of the empire. Amongst the various titles he carried, such as Great King, he was also the shadow of God, making him the executor of God's will. The sovereign therefore also held a court of justice. It was therefore necessary to have a proper seat, a throne of Solomon, to underscore his position of the just king. Just like Solomon's throne, the Peacock Throne was to be covered in gold and jeweled, with steps leading up to it, with the ruler floating above ground and closer to heaven. Said Gilani and his workmen from the Imperial Goldsmiths Department were commissioned with the construction of this new throne. It took 7 years to complete. Large amounts of solid gold, precious stones and pearls were used, creating a masterful piece of Mughal workmanship that was unsurpassed before or after its creation. It was an opulent indulgence that could only be seen by a small minority of courtiers, aristocrats and visiting dignitaries. The throne was, even for the Golden Age Mughal standard, supremely extravagant and cost twice as much as the construction of the Taj Mahal. The appearance of the throne was in stark contrast to the older throne of Jahangir, a large rectangular slab of engraved black basalt constructed in the early 1600s, used by the father of Shah Jahan. It did initially not carry a name and was simply known as the jeweled throne or ornamented throne. It received its name from later historians because of the peacock statues featured on it. It was inaugurated with a triumphant ceremony on the 22nd of March 1635, the 7th formal anniversary of Shah Jahan's accession. The date was chosen by astrologers and was doubly auspicious, since it coincided exactly with Eid al-Fitr, the end of Ramadan, and Nowruz, the Persian spring festival. The emperor and the court were returning from Kashmir, and it was determined that the third day of Nowruz would be the most auspicious day for him to enter the capital and take his seat on the throne. Muhammad Qudsi, the emperor's favorite poet, was chosen to compose 20 verses that were inscribed in emerald and green enamel on the throne. He praised the matchless skill of the artisans, the heaven-depleting grandeur of its golden jewels, mentioning the date in the letters of the phrase, the throne of the just king. Poet Abu Talib Kalim was given 6 pieces of gold for each verse in his poem of 63 couplets. The master goldsmith Said Gilani was summoned by the emperor and showered with honors, including with his weight in gold coins, and given the title Peerless Master. Gilani produced a poem with 134 couplets, filled with chronograms. The first 12 reveal the date of the emperor's birth, the following 32 the date of his first coronation, then the 90 couplets giving the date of the throne's inauguration. towards India he turned his reins quickly and went in all glory, driving like the blowing wind, dapple-grey steed swift as lightning. With bounty and liberality, he returned to the capital. Round his stirrups were the heavens, and angels round his reins. 1,000 thanks. The beauty of the world has revived, with the early glory of the throne of multicolored gems. After Shah Jahan's death, his son Aurangzeb, who carried the title Alamgir, ascended the Peacock Throne. He was the last of the strong Mughal emperors, and after his death in 1707, his son Bahadur Shah I reigned from 1707 to 1712. Bahadur Shah I was able to keep the empire stable and relaxed religious policy. However, after his death, the empire was in inexorable decline. A series of political instabilities, military defeats and court intrigues brought and fell a number of emperors. Jahandar Shah ruled for 1 year from 1712 to 1713, Farrukh Shah from 1713 to 1719, Rafi-ud-Din Rajat and Shah Jahan II only for a couple of months in 1719. By the time Muhammad Shah came to power, Mughal power was in serious decline and the empire became more vulnerable. Nevertheless, under the generous patronage of Muhammad Shah, the court at Delhi became again a beacon of the arts and culture. Administrative reforms could not, however, stop the later Mughal-Maratha wars, which greatly sapped the imperial forces. It was only a question of time until forces from neighboring Persia saw their chance to invade. Nadir Shah's invasion of India culminated in the Battle of Karnal on February 13, 1739, and the defeat of Muhammad Shah. Nadir Shah entered Delhi and sacked the city, in which tens of thousands of inhabitants were massacred. Persian troops left Delhi at the beginning of May 1739, taking with them the throne as a war trophy, amounting to a large reduction in Mughal wealth and an irreplaceable loss of cultural goods and treasures. Among the known precious stones that Nadir Shah looted were the Akbar Shah diamond, Great Mughal diamond, Great Table diamond, Koh-i-Noor, Shah diamond, as well as the Sumerian spinel and the Timur ruby. These stones were either part of the Peacock Throne or were in possession of the Mughal emperors. The Akbar Shah diamond was said to form one of the eyes of a peacock, as well as the Koh-i-Noor. The Shah diamond was described by Tavernier as being on the side of the throne. Many of these stones ended up becoming part of the Persian crown jewels that were taken later by the British colonialists. When Nadir Shah was assassinated by his own officers on June 19, 1747, the throne disappeared, most probably being dismantled or destroyed for its valuables in the ensuing chaos. One of the unsubstantiated rumors claimed the throne was given to the Ottoman Sultan. However, in reality this could be a minor throne produced in Persia and given as a gift. Persian Emperor Fath Ali Shah commissioned the Sun Throne to be constructed in the early 19th century for him. The Sun Throne has the shape of a platform just like the Peacock Throne. Some rumors claim that parts of the original Peacock Throne were used in its construction, however there is no evidence to that. Over time the Sun Throne was erroneously referred to as the Peacock Throne, a term that was later appropriated initially by the West as a metonym for the Persian monarchy. No proved parts of the original Peacock Throne survive. Only some of diamonds and precious stones that are attributed to it have survived and been reworked. A Sikh legend has it that a rectangular stone slab measuring 6 feet by 4 feet by 9 inches was uprooted, enchained and brought by Jasser Singh Ramgarhia to Ramgarhia Bunga in Amritsar after the capture of the Red Fort by combined Dal Khalsa forces of Jasser Singh Ahluwalia and Baghal Singh in 1783. It was moved to Amritsar as war booty. However, if this stone pedestal indeed does stem from the Peacock Throne has not been independently corroborated by scientists and historians. A replacement throne was probably constructed after the Persian invasion for the Mughal emperor, which closely resembled the original. The throne was located on the eastern side of the divan-I cast, towards the windows. This throne, however, was also lost, possibly during or after the Indian Rebellion of 1857 and the subsequent looting, or the destruction caused to the Red Fort by the British. The marble pedestal on which it rested in the divan-I cast has survived and can still be seen today. In 1908, the New York Times reported that Caspar Purdon Clark, director of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, obtained what was purported to be a marble leg from the pedestal of the throne. Although mentioned in the 1908 annual report, the status of this pedestal remains unknown. There is another marble leg in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. Where exactly these two pedestals originate from, however, and if they are connected to the Peacock Throne at all, remains unclear. Inspired by the legend of the throne, King Ludwig II of Bavaria installed a romanticized version of it in his Moorish kiosk in Lindenhof Palace, constructed in the 1860s.